Hello and welcome back to Cult Storytime. I'm Angel. This is part of the intro series still, so if you haven't seen the other two, then go watch them. Otherwise, this is the next part of the power structure of the cult. And so, in the last one, I talked about King David, Queen Maria, and King Peter, and they were like the trifecta, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, if you will. And they were at the top. And you can think of this whole thing as a pyramid scheme because that's the easiest way to visualize it, and that's how it was. And that's also why I truly believe in my heart that every business that is a pyramid scheme is a cult. It's the same power structure. So, anyways, you have this person at the top, David Berg, and then you have Queen Maria and King Peter, and then you had the people right under them. They created this thing called WS, and that stood for World Services because they fancied themselves servants of God that were serving the world. So they were in charge of world services. So they had this whole branch of secret communes called WS, and because they were running from the law, like I mentioned, he was a criminal, so the law was looking for him. So he spent the rest of his life after he got the verse to go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. After that, he spent the rest of his life like running and in hiding. And he was always in this group of homes called World Services, WS. And they would always be in hiding. They would never say where they were. But eventually, the truth comes out. They were all over Latin America. They were in Tenerife for a while. They were in Brazil for a while. Last I checked, they were in Mexico, and I'm sure they're somewhere else now. There are always these like little secret communes called WS. And they were in charge of things like this, like producing the literature. This is an old one. This was done in 1973, copyright? 1976. This is a home shepherd training program. This was done in like 2000 and something. But anyways, WS was in charge of putting out all the literature for the cult, so many things. And basically, the main guy, David Berg, or Grandpa, I'm not going to call him Grandpa. He doesn't deserve it. He would get drunk and ramble, and Queen Maria, who was his secretary slash mistress slash would later take over, she would take dictation, and she would either type it down or she would record him, and then all his drunken ramblings turned into all this literature. And so WS was always in charge of producing like so much literature and in charge of keeping the leader safe. So they were always in hiding somewhere around the world. And then under that level of leadership were leaders who would go in between. So they were trusted enough to be able to visit with people in WS, but then also go into regular communes. And the name for those people changed a lot. They called them crows. They called them, oh man, RSs. They called them, and each of these like things stood for like regional shepherd. What were crows? It was CRO because they didn't know how to spell the word crow, you guys. What did crow stand for? Oh, I remember. Chief Regional Officer. Ha! I did it. Whew, that stuff stays. Anyways, so there were those leaders who would be able to bounce between being trusted enough to go into and meet with the leadership, but then also be in the commune without like letting the secret get out of where Mama and Peter and Grandpa were. Oh, I did it. I was supposed to call him something else. Damn it. Anyways, and then there were the people under them, and that's when you got into the power structure of the communes, because there was this big pyramid, and then each commune had its own little pyramid structure. So the RSs or the crows or whoever that would go between like the WS homes and our communes, they were the only ones who could go in between those two structures. And then there was the leader of the commune. And usually it was one person. Eventually later they made it again, another power structure. At the top of the communes, they usually separated them, the leadership structure of, say there was we'll just use the big commune, the commune that I was in that had 100 people. Say there were 10 leaders. 5 of them would be management and 5 of them would be HR. That's the best way to break it down. 5 of them would be in charge of, we called it shepherding. And it's basically messing up people's lives at your own discretion based on your emotional state in the moment. And then these guys, which were the like management, they would be in charge of like the schedule as you waited for the end of the world, like who had the truck, who was going out to beg that week, who was on this X schedule, etc., etc. Yes, it was a thing. And then these people, the shepherds of the home, those are the people that would tell you that you were doing everything in your life wrong. Those are the people who would shame you and pray against you. And these were the most evil people, and they were the most power hungry as well. And that is something that I will break down in our next video. Hopefully you are enjoying this. If so, hit subscribe. I'm going to keep doing these every day. Because we need to be entertained, because it's Corona time. And I hope that you are staying well, and I hope that you are staying, yeah, I hope that there's still something for you to look forward to in your life, because like I said, this is not the first end of the world. This won't be the last. Hopefully this will be the last time you experience massive amounts of stress, but who knows? Life is crazy, as we see. But if you're here, thank you for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow.